Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to join me today as we explore a powerful strategic framework that has the capacity to completely transform the way we think about, design, and scale our business ventures, which is the globally acclaimed business model Canvas. Over the years, so many of us have faced the traditional, exhausting hurdle of sitting down to write a massive 50-page business plan, spending weeks or even months locked in a room researching historical market data, predicting future financial numbers, and making wild, educated guesses about what the world will look like in 5 years, only to discover that the very moment we launch our product into the real market, the entire economic landscape shifts, a major competitor cuts their prices in half, or our target customers demand something completely different from what we originally wrote, turning that giant, beautifully bound document into something instantly outdated, irrelevant, and practically useless for daily operations. In today's fast changing, unpredictable, and technology driven economic environment, a thick, rigid business plan can feel more like a heavy concrete anchor holding your organization back rather than a flexible sail moving your business forward, which is exactly why modern entrepreneurs and corporate leaders desperately need a highly visual, incredibly rapid, and deeply adaptive way to map out strategic ideas by compressing an entire business concept onto a single clear sheet of paper. This brilliant framework is divided into nine core building blocks that function together as a beautifully connected ecosystem. And to truly understand how it works, we must first look at the right side of the canvas, which is often called the front stage, representing everything your customer sees, experiences, and interacts with, starting with the most critical foundational block of all, which is customer segments. In the real world of commerce, you simply cannot be everything to everyone. And if you confidently claim that your product or service is designed for absolutely everybody, the harsh reality is that your product is actually designed for nobody. Meaning, you must carefully, ruthlessly, and precisely define who your ideal users are. Whether they are tech savvy university students looking for cheap food options, busy working parents trying to balance their daily schedules, or massive corporate enterprises looking for high end cybersecurity software solutions, once you have identified exactly who these people are and what makes them tick, you can then move directly to the heart of your canvas, which is the value proposition, a block that does not merely list the basic technical features or specifications of your product, but instead provides a compelling, undeniable answer to the most important question any business faces, which is why a customer should choose to spend their hard earned money with you rather than walking across the street to your competitors, focusing entirely on the specific daily problem you are solving, the frustration you are relieving, or the unique life changing benefit you are delivering to that chosen customer segment that no one else can replicate in the market. To get this value proposition into the actual hands of your target audience, you must design your channels, which outlines the exact communication, distribution, and sales networks you will use to find and reach your customers, making sure that your delivery methods perfectly match how your customers actually prefer to shop and buy in their daily lives, whether that is through a direct online mobile application, third party retail storefronts, or traditional direct business to business sales teams. Alongside your channels, you must carefully manage your customer relationships, defining the exact type of vibe, tone, and long term interaction you want to establish with your audience, which can range from high touch, premium personal assistance where every single client gets a dedicated account manager to handle their personal needs, all the way to a completely automated self-service experience like Netflix or Spotify, where the customer never interacts with a human being but still feels completely satisfied, connected, and loyal to the brand. Every single customer segment you serve, every relationship you build, and every channel you establish leads directly to the bottom right of your canvas, which is your revenue streams, the vital financial mechanism mapping out how your business will actually generate consistent cash flow and capture value from the market, forcing you to look at your audience and ask whether they prefer to make a one time upfront payment, pay a recurring monthly subscription fee, or pay based on a freemium model, allowing you to combine multiple income sources to create long term financial stability for your enterprise. On the opposite side of the financial floor, you must look at the bottom left of the board, which is your cost structure, where you list and calculate all the major expenses, overheads, and operational costs involved in keeping your business alive, helping you clearly understand whether your organization is a cost driven business focused on keeping expenses as absolutely low as possible, like a budget airline, or a value driven business focused on premium quality, luxury experiences, and high end materials where cost is secondary to the elite experience provided. Now that we have covered the entire customer experience and the financial foundation, we must take a look behind the scenes at the left side of the canvas, known as the backstage, which represents the operational engine that your customer never sees but is completely responsible for making your value proposition a reality, beginning with your key resources, which are the vital assets, tools, and infrastructure required to make your model function successfully, including physical assets like manufacturing factories and delivery vehicles, intellectual assets like proprietary software code, patents, and brand trademarks, or human assets like highly experienced software engineers, creative designers, and research scientists who drive innovation. These essential resources allow your team to execute your key activities, which are the absolute most important daily actions, processes, and tasks your company must perform to stay operational. Meaning that if you run a manufacturing company, your key activity is production. If you run a consulting firm, your key activity is problem solving. And if you run a technology startup, your key activity is continuous platform management, software debugging, and server maintenance. Because no business can realistically do everything by themselves in the modern interconnected global economy, you must build key partnerships, which represents your network of external suppliers, trusted distributors, or strategic business allies who help you optimize your business model, reduce market risks, achieve economies of scale, and share infrastructure, just like how a small food delivery startup does not waste time building its own digital mapping system from scratch, but instead partners with Google Maps so they can focus their limited time and energy entirely on what they do best, which is delivering hot food fast to hungry clients. The real magic of mastering the business model canvas happens when you stop looking at these nine blocks as isolated, independent boxes and start viewing them as an interconnected, living ecosystem where a single change in one block creates a massive ripple effect across all the others. Meaning that if you decide to change your target customer segment, your value proposition must adapt, your channels will shift, your key activities will change, and your cost structure will inevitably adjust, giving you an immediate bird's eye view of your entire strategy so you can spot hidden operational weaknesses or financial gaps before they turn into incredibly expensive real world mistakes. In our fast paced and highly competitive global market, flexibility is your ultimate competitive advantage. And the true beauty of using this canvas lies in your ability to pivot your entire strategy in a single afternoon with your team by simply moving sticky notes around on a whiteboard rather than spending 6 months rewriting a giant corporate document from scratch, making business planning an exciting process of rapid experimentation, continuous innovation, and real time adjustment. I encourage each and every one of you in this room today to treat the business model canvas not as a boring administrative exercise, an annoying piece of academic paperwork, or something you just look at once a year during annual strategy meetings, but rather as a practical living compass designed to challenge your deepest business assumptions, test your newest ideas in real time, keep your internal teams perfectly aligned toward a shared organizational goal, and drive genuine, sustainable commercial growth for the long haul. So I warmly invite you to grab a giant blank canvas, gather your team together around the table, throw out your old assumptions, and start mapping out your next big market move today. And with that, I thank you very, very much for your time, your patience, and your outstanding attention today. And I am now more than happy to open up the floor to welcome any questions, thoughts or ideas you might have about implementing this framework in your own daily business operations,